This week on Barbell Business, we talk about how to avoid having a slow season. Also, make sure to go to barbellbusiness.com/social media template for a free download. Welcome to Barbell Business. I'm Mike Bledsoe, standing here with Doug Larson and Markus Gerszi.
Hey.
Oh, got the magnificent trio here today, and which means we're going to drop extra bombs today. Knowledge bombs, that is.
Texas
like they didn't know what kind of bombs we were talking about.
Wait, clarify.
You sound like you just made that up for the first time. No. Like it was your idea. Knowledge bombs. I thought of it.
This guy's a genius.
Oh, we'll keep that. It's funny enough. All right, what are we talking about today, Markus? Because I can't keep it together.
We're going to talk about how to avoid having a slow season.
Oh, yeah.
Air quotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people they blame like the time of the year or any other factor for why they're not doing well, when really usually probably has more to do with their sales and marketing systems than it does with the fact that it's just like the time of the year, or it's summertime or it's wintertime, or it's it's football season. Everyone's like watching the game. Like it doesn't really matter like what time of the year it is or what part of what season it is. There should be no slow season in your gym.
Right.
So, certainly there are times a year where maybe you could get little fluctuations, but it shouldn't make or break you as a business owner. It shouldn't make or break your gym as far as like how many members you're getting.
Right. Here's what it shows you is that if someone is just reacting to or responding to like the natural ebb and flow of the market, because naturally there is one, right? In the New Year's, you have this huge influx of people saying, I'm going to make this the best year ever. And then you start to kind of taper off a little bit. Then you get back into summer, you have a little bit of a spike again. And as soon as you hit the end of August, beginning of September, it's back to school. And all of a sudden it starts to slowly taper off until December. Mid-December, it picks back up and swoops back up into January. However, a mature business is not reactive. A mature business understands the natural flow of the annual cycle and says, okay, I don't want to be reacting to this and just kind of saying, well, I hope this year's lull, it doesn't suck too bad or doesn't catch me off guard again like it did last year. Instead, you say, okay, look, I understand what business I'm playing, what game I'm playing, and I understand where these waves are. So I'm going to be proactive in planning out my strategy so that I know, hey, if the end of August, beginning of September and October starts to dip naturally, I'm going to start preparing for that and start doing my marketing to start building momentum into that phase so that I can at very least be nice and steady and have a nice control of how much am I gaining, how much am I losing, to hedge against that rather than just reacting to it and then wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah, Doug and I had an interesting thing when we were running our facility was October, November would be our biggest months.
That's right.
Which is not what happens in most gyms. Mm-mm. So it's like we're talking about the season, but the season could be anything. And we still, I don't know, did we ever figure out why that was? I think we had theories, but that's as far as it went.
I'm not 100% sure why it was. Like we knew that it could potentially be a slow time of year, especially the November month, which I think was our best month we ever had was happened to be in November.
Yeah.
We netted 20 people or something like that, which is a decent month for a CrossFit gym.
And the time too. This was also back in 2010,
this is 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
This is
right
back
before
in the
really kind of the big boom actually set in.
Yeah,
like 2012.
That was back when people didn't really know what CrossFit was.
Right, so that was actually really crushing it compared to what most gyms were doing.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we netted. That means that we had 20 new members without losing 20 old members.
So,
but we were tracking it over time, and we always thought that, and it might have just been because we were anticipating it to be slow. And we just worked extra hard then.
My guess would be because of how I know you guys ran the business back then with your sales and marketing processes, you guys had a whole, in your actual month trial, there was a referral component built into it. Mm-hmm. So my assumption would be because summer would be really big for you guys, you would roll that into a ton of referral business, which would then take traction the month or two following, right? So you would then have a 2 to 3 month build up on top of the natural flow in.
Sounds good, yeah. Definitely what we did.
That's my theory.
Did.
Sounds
part of the master plan.
So, and the whole reason we're having this conversation today is because, we talk to gym owners every day. I talk to a ton of people, and this is the time of year where I started hearing the griping about this is so hard this time of year, and business is really slow right now. And that's unfortunately just a side effect of not having a plan and not having gone into this season saying, okay, I know that naturally this is going to be a little bit less volume than maybe in the beginning of January or summertime. So I'm going to plan for it. And this is a great opportunity to kind of learn from this and say, okay, well, how can I hedge against this next year? And how can I take 2017 completely differently rather than, again, just reacting to it and saying, well, we had a really good, January, February this year, and we hope it's going to continue on throughout the rest of the year. Instead, let's make a plan and let's actually be in control of our own destiny for the entire year.
Yeah, and if you've been looking at your metrics, for the last 2 years, you should be able to have a pretty good beat on how you do each month. You can compare January this year to January last year, and then say, okay, for next January, it looks like we're always a little bit low. What can we do about it? And plan it out, 3-4 months ahead of time, where it's not the end of December, and then you're like, wait, didn't we have a bad January last year? Shit, what do we do?
or if you notice it's slowing down, you're already 2 months behind your marketing schedule.
Yes.
So if you see a dip, it's going to take you 2 more months to get back. So that's why it's important to be proactive, have that plan, because now you've got another 2 months of it being slow before your marketing starts working again.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because a common misconception around marketing is like, okay, my business is now hurting or it's slow now, so now I need to start marketing. But good marketing takes some time to build up. It's not silver bullet marketing. That stuff that just happens overnight. Like, yes, there are some things you can do if you're not, let's say, doing anything at all, that you could jumpstart marketing and start getting flow of leads right away. But the stuff that actually is the long game that will give you a constant flow of leads, which is what the really good gyms do, that is a long strategy. That is not just like what we're doing this week. We did some social posts and why didn't we grow? It's part of it, a whole map you laid out for the next year. Is like, this is what we're focusing on during these quarters because this is what's going on in our local market, and this is what we can promote, and these are the initiatives we have in place. You're telling a long story, and that's how you build up into something like a slow September, October, because you started that strategy back in March. And I was just talking to Angelo from O'Hare a few days ago, and we did a 6-month project. So basically he knows that this time of year is slow. So the strategy this year was, because he's approaching capacity with his location, was, okay, I'm going to push into this. So he started storytelling around just showcasing his staff and his members and just really telling the story of who his gym is and connecting with those people. And then those people are obviously, when you get an awesome story told about yourself, you're sharing it with your friends, your family, people see that, they see you being put up on a pedestal, and it starts to get new attention. So right when everyone else is freaking out, he's basically maxed out. He's got a line out the door because he structured it all to basically launch a marketing campaign maybe 3 weeks ago. And he's maxed out. He's had 100 inquiries within 2 days, had completely sold out. I mean, record-breaking numbers for growth. And this is when everybody else is struggling. And he's
going to roll into the new year without a concern.
He's going into the new year considering capping his membership. It's he's hit his capacity or his sweet spot for the business, and now he can just make it even better. But now his focus
goes on, how can I make the gym better?
Well, yeah,
the quality of service better. And now, that's what every coach dreams of being able to do. Right. But instead, they're worrying about how to get new members.
Right. The strategy goes from how do I just grow to how now I have the amount of people I think I want to serve, and I'm making more than enough money. And now how can I just make that an even better experience for those people? How can I now crank it up for my staff? How can I crank it up for my clients to have an even better experience, to maximize their per client value? And now you're killing it.
Yeah. And that goes to cycles and rhythms and having to set up what are you doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly, and throughout the year, and kind of considering everything as that happens. And that's what we're going to get into for the second part of the show. So we're going to take a break and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Jason, and I'm the owner and head coach at CrossFit Rife in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I think like most boxes in the CrossFit space these days, we were struggling with the ability to get consistent growth within the gym. So, we are very consistent about how we did things on the floor, how we develop our coaches. If you own a box, you know that there's kind of always this up and down within membership. And if you're kind of on the cusp, you can't really afford that. And we were no different than anybody else. We had that ups and downs. And, truth be told, in November of last year, I had to come out of pocket to pay payroll, and that was the worst month in the 5 years that we had been open. So I called the Barbell Logic guys and I talked to Markus, and it was a pretty sobering conversation, but I'm okay with that. And what I found out was that when we really dissected kind of the different pieces of our business, what was wildly deficient was the sales and automation and how we communicated with people and how we replicated that perfect sell when that person comes in and like everything goes perfectly and they become a member and then they stay there for 2 years. And that was like 1 out of 15. And that's what we struggled with. There was no way for us to make that a system which we could 100% at least put people on that track and then leave it up to us to make the sale. The money was by far the biggest reservation because we were in a position where cash flow wasn't what we wanted it to be, and making a huge investment like that was painful. But the ultimate decision was this. When I sat down and I looked at what we were doing and I looked at where we wanted to go, I told myself, if you're not willing to make that investment in your business, you need to close down the gym anyway, because you're not in it. If you're not all in it, then just shut it down, go be a fucking garbage man or something. So I dove all in and haven't looked back since. Not only have the numbers gone up, we've been able to provide a better service to not only members that are incoming, but also the members that we have currently at the gym. I mean, it's been just so wildly beneficial for everybody involved. It's a win-win for everybody. Everybody gets what they want. As the gym owner, I get a consistent product across the board that's really damn good. The incoming members or the new folks get a really good experience as they are kind of taken into the community, and the members that are already here, their value just went up for the dollars that they were paying. I mean, it was, rarely do you get into those situations where it's a win-win for everybody, but this was it. So it's going to allow you to remove yourself from all the things that take up tons and tons of time and allow you to go back to being what you started this to be, which is a really, really good coach, and allow you to interact with your members at scale. And at scale is the key word. It allows you to almost be all things to all people all the time. And especially once you learn it, I mean, the system, it's incredible. And if you're watching this, this is now your business. So don't hesitate to spend that money to make a better business, to provide a better product, to provide a better experience to the people that walk in your door. You started the gym because you want to help people, and this allows you to work on the business and on those people and on your staff. And it's been nothing but beneficial for us. I mean, we're gonna hit our yearly goals by the end of the third quarter, and we'll exceed those. And the goals were fairly lofty. I mean, we're looking at more than 100% growth this year. And it's the great thing about it in my mind is it's been at a very manageable pace. You get the right touch points at the right time to the right people, and that's been the biggest benefit for me. Is it just allowed me to go back to do what I started a gym for, which was, I'm at the point now where my time is almost solely devoted to coaches development and customer satisfaction, and making sure that everybody who's here is getting what they want and that they're happy, and that all of the people that are incoming have the best possible experience ever. And when you can focus just on those two things, nothing but good shit happens.
We are back.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. We're going to get into exactly how to develop these cycles and structures around social media. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
social media is the example. I think that's.
How come he never knows
welcome
what's
to the
going
show,
on?
Mike.
He never knows what's going
What the
on.
hell? We feed him breakfast and coffee before the show so that we have the highest likelihood of success, and still this is what we get. Unbelievable.
I can't believe it myself, to be honest. I don't even know why y'all keep me around.
You're doing great, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. No, but we're going to break down the structure and the cycles for just marketing plans in general.
Yeah.
You have the annual plan, your quarterly, and then your monthly and weekly and daily. So break it down all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's what we're talking about is how can we avoid having any lulls in growth or in your overall, like having that slow season at any time of the year. And it comes by having a plan and being proactive in what we're doing and understanding the rhythms throughout the year. And, it's when you look at I think you have to look at the whole thing as like this next year, like 2017, what do we want to accomplish, right? So take a look at where you are with your business and say, okay, this next year, what is going to be the primary objective overall, right? Are we like super growth focused? Are we about, how we want to position ourselves or in our market, and really make a plan overall, like what the whole goal is. Then break that down into the different quarterly phases. Like, okay, now based on the seasons of the year, how can we break this up so that we can get the most traction? And then you say, okay, now we understand what like kind of the tone is of each quarter. And then you have, okay, within that quarter, that emphasis, now let's tell a story that is part of the bigger picture overall. And that like kind of like that section of the story. And so you can take different times of the year and map it all out. And you say, okay, now we've got our quarterly initiative. Let's now break that down into how we're going to tackle that over the series of the 3 months, and then break that down into weekly. And then you can put yourself on a really simple schedule. It's as simple as like, 1 or 2 posts a day on the different platforms, and making sure you have someone in charge of it. They have the assets that they need from having the right kinds of pictures. Because the story isn't just like, hey, we want more members. Like if you're growth centric this year, then make sure that you have like you figured out like who do we want to be attracting, like what kinds of clients do we want more of. If you're a younger gym, like maybe you've never gone through the exercises of identifying who your ideal clients are, like who those avatars really look like. If you've been around a long time, you probably have a really good idea of the types of clients that you want to be you want to be attracting. So if that's the case, then make sure everything is tailored to those people, from like the imagery that you're using to the language that you're using, and like the offers that you're using and the storytelling that you're doing. Highlight, if you're trying to bring in more like 35 to 45-year-old professionals that, executives or whatnot, maybe are a really good demo for you. Make sure you're using those types of people in the pictures, and that you're targeting your ads, if you're running Facebook ads, to like, boost posts or whatever around that particular demo, rather than just kind of the shotgun approach.
All the ideas that I have, and think about how often would I want to do these ideas. So if it's a bring a friend day, like if that's a tactic you want to use, okay, well, if it works, how often should we do it? Let's do it once a month. Okay, now you're going to do a bring a friend day like the first Tuesday of the month every month, or the first Saturday morning of the month every month. That way you have a rhythm behind it, and it's not like we did it once and it worked really well, and then we kind of forgot about it. Now what do? We'll do the next thing, and you're always trying to reinvent the wheel and come up with something new to do. You can just say, well, it's the first Saturday of the month every month, and now you know that you're going to continue to do this thing that has worked the first time, and it probably will continue to work in the future. You can do the same thing with Facebook marketing campaigns. You can say, okay, well, we did a Facebook marketing campaign, and it worked for a while, and then like any marketing campaign, maybe the effectiveness kind of fiddles away after a while. People, they've seen the ad a million times, or they've seen it and they clicked on it and it worked, and all the people that saw it and didn't want to click on it, now they're never going to click on it, and so you need a new one. So maybe once a quarter, you got to do a new Facebook marketing campaign, and then you push it for 13 weeks for a full quarter, and then you got to make a new one. You should have a cycle to developing those new campaigns. If it's something more simple like a Facebook post, then you're basically going to have a series of different posts that you can post. So if you want to highlight an athlete in your gym, okay, well, instead of just highlighting somebody and then whenever someone does a good job, remembering that you should highlight this person, maybe it's just like every Tuesday you highlight an athlete at your gym. And then if you want to promote fundamentals, well, okay, maybe every Friday you promote fundamentals. Like if you have it scheduled where every Friday you do something, or every Monday you do something, or every Saturday you do something, then all the important things will automatically get done. You can still post other stuff to social media as well. In that those things can be more random and more kind of in the moment. You see somebody, they jump on a box for the first time, they get the first pull up, you can highlight that person. But you should have a set schedule where you don't forget about something that works. That way you never drop the ball.
Yep. And I think, again, if you're reverse engineering like your quarterly like schedule, because you may say, hey, we do like regular like workshops or clinics, and then we have our like bring a friend day, and you have kind of like the bigger things that you're looking to promote. You create that weekly schedule, and then using that weekly schedule, you say, great, well, we've got an Oli seminar we're going to be promoting in 2 weeks, so let's start highlighting people using where we're featuring a barbell and those kinds of things, to start subconsciously getting into promoting that event, so that everything is always leading to the bigger initiatives, rather than it just being totally random. Because now what looks like that weekly posting schedule, where you're like, well, how many like Man Crush Mondays or Women Crush Wednesdays or whatever your like schedule looks like, is now it's not always the same thing. It's always built around the bigger initiatives, and those are playing into the bigger picture rather than it just feeling random.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more easy to be motivated in that point. By the way, I'm Facebook Living.
Oh,
So make sure to be following the Barbell Business Facebook fan page, and you'll get everything early. Maybe. 100% maybe. All the time.
80% of the time it works all the time.
That's right. No, yeah. So it's also a lot more motivating. Like if I'm promoting something specific, it's like, oh, I know I'm supposed to be active on social media. That's all well and good, but oh, I do have something to promote. Or yeah, every Wednesday we are doing this now, and there's a clear reason for doing it. And there's a clear call to action. If I know that I'm just supposed to make 3 posts a day on Instagram, it can be really difficult. It's like, why?
Yeah.
What's the context here? And having that context every day can make it a lot easier. And if you're going to pass it off to somebody else, if you're not the one making social media posts which you shouldn't be doing forever at some point, unless you just love doing it, then you can actually give the system to somebody else where they can do it really well.
Yeah. Facebook Live, actually, since we're on Facebook Live right now, like that's a really good example of something that's relatively new that is working really, really well. The engagement with it is really, really high. It on Facebook itself, like it stays in the top of people's feeds for a really long time compared to other posts. And so it's a really valuable thing to do. And so if maybe every Saturday morning you say, I'm going to do a Facebook Live, and you can walk around the gym and say, hey, like, what'd you do today? And someone just says like what their workout was for that day. A lot of people might do the class workout. A lot of people might do their own workout. And you just kind of walk around. You just hang out and talk to people and do a Facebook Live every Saturday morning. And if you have that rhythm, it keeps your social feed very, very strong.
Yep. It's there's a lot of people who struggle with social media, and they think like, well, social media it's really hard for me. It's not really my thing. And so when you talk about having a strategy like this, it really kind of freaks them out. But if you look at it as like, hey, look, this is just structure for you to follow. And at very least, even if you feel like you have no experience with this, you're not that comfortable doing it, if you're doing it with intent, it will be authentic. It won't look cheesy because it's why you're doing it. You have a good reason to get engaged with it. And like you said, or like Mike was saying, it's a lot easier to be confident with it than it is to just kind of feel like you're winging it. Like I have to do 3 posts a day, but you have a schedule to follow. And it kind of takes some of the mystery out of it for you. And you say, hey, at least I know today I'm going to try and find someone accomplishing something cool at the gym. So you've got your eyes open all day, or maybe that's what your staff is following, and they have something to be after or looking for that day.
Yeah, if you tell someone I want you to post 3 posts a day, well, like the first 2 days, they're like, okay, I know what to do. I'll post this, I'll post that, I'll post this, I'll post that.
Right.
And then like day 4, day 5, day 6, they're kind of like, well, shit, now what do I do? Like if they don't have like a box to play in, where you're not like, okay, highlight a member, or make sure to talk about fundamentals, or the new weightlifting workshop that's coming up, or the new seminar that we're about to do, post the schedule, highlight a female, highlight a brand new member, that's someone that just signed up. Like if you have these very distinct categories that they're operating in, it's so much easier for them to know what to do and to find something within that category to post. It's like if you go to somebody and you say something, they're like, because the category
Be clever.
Yeah,
nothing.
The category is so
Be
big, but if you make the category smaller, you say, what's your favorite color? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, like my favorite color is blue. And it's easier for them to say something because now the box that they're thinking within is so much smaller. So with social media or with any aspect of your company, like if you can more clearly define what someone is supposed to do within their role, it's so much easier for them to be successful.
And another thing you can remember too is like you hopefully aren't just reactive every day. You could be like a week ahead of the actual posting schedule, and just be knowing as you're collecting images like, oh, this one's going to be good for next week's Wednesday post. This one's going to be awesome for next week's Thursday post. And you're building your arsenal of like posts way ahead of time, and you can use tools like Hootsuite and whatnot to actually plan the stuff out so that you're not feeling like you're under the gun every day. And it's more a matter of catching the organic stuff, posting that stuff in between the like scheduled posts.
Well, I like having the scheduled posts on like Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that. Stick to that plan.
Yep.
And then use Instagram story just for the random shit.
Yeah.
That's what Instagram stories are for. Is like that authentic whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, you want everything to be authentic, but the stories are where it's the catch-all, is the way I see it. And so that makes me more likely to just post all sorts of random stuff. If I want a very specific call to action, if I want to tell a very specific story that I want to stick around forever, then I make that post there on Instagram. And going into having specific calls to action is one of the biggest mistakes that I see. Is people they either make a post and then don't ask anyone to do anything. It's like they're just featuring stuff at their gym, and then they're not saying check the link in the bio and click it. And then when you get to the link in the bio to go click it, there's nothing. It's just the homepage, you know. And when someone gets to your homepage, what are they gonna do from there? There needs to be. It's good to be doing something around fat loss, and then make sure they're landing on a landing page that has to do with fat loss. If that's what you're promoting, if that's what you want your thing to be that month or that week or something like that, whatever you're promoting in the short term. If you have that weightlifting thing coming up. Yeah, weightlifting seminars coming up in 1 month, and you want to have that link in your bio going to that, and you want to be asking people. You have to tell people what you want them to do. Otherwise, they'll just do nothing.
Yeah, be prepared. So if you're going to have something that you're promoting, right, because you know in advance, you've made your plan, you know this month we're focusing on this. So make sure that you have that landing page already set. You already have the link in your bio, and everything is already teed up. So as you start posting, you can just say link in bio, and or whatever the thing is, and you're always driving people to somewhere specific rather than. I mean, I still hear about people saying, I spend like $500 a month on Facebook ads. Well, let me see the landing pages you're driving people to. What do you mean landing pages? I just send them to my homepage, and it's like, Jesus, man, like you're literally just lighting your money on fire. You know,
it's true.
But it's just a lack of an understanding, right? So that's why we're talking about this today. But be deliberate. So if you're going to have a call to action, think about it ahead of time. Prepare the page, prepare the content, prepare the offer, prepare how you're going to capture people's information. What are you going to do when they fill out the form? It's like think about the whole process, map it out, get everything done before you even start the campaign. Think about like the scheduled posts, and then everything leads towards that over the next period, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's why on Logic we have the ebooks. Like we build the Logic websites. We don't just if someone's going to have paid traffic running to their site, we don't want to have it where it just goes to their homepage. Like we built ebooks and landing pages for them. That way, if they had like fat loss or they just want to learn about CrossFit, strategy and how the whole workout system works, and they don't know anything about it, then they can go to an ebook or something that they can put their name and email in, and then you've captured that information, and then they're not just lighting their money on fire, kind of like you suggested.
Yeah,
which is a great way to describe it.
And we actually added a new functionality now with Logic to where you can actually just create new landing pages around whatever you want. So now you can basically kind of like how you have lead pages, but it's already branded, it's already styled to your site. You can choose, header, no header, and like totally pimp out the landing page in a matter of like 2 minutes. So you can create new landing pages. So if you say, hey, we're going to be doing this like, weightlifting clinic, next month, and that's what we want to feature, crank out the landing page that has the lead capture form, the kickback email, the notification to the right person, like everything gets mapped out so that you can very easily create an awesome landing page with a great process and everything is done.
That's a big problem with most gym owners. Like they might hear this and they go, okay, well, I kind of know that I need a landing page, but like I've never built one before. I don't know how to do it. Like I understand the concept of it, but like as far as actually getting it done, no idea what to do. So having it pre-built is super valuable in that case.
Yeah, and we coach them too on like how to actually do. So we ask, what is your initiative? What are you promoting and all that, so we can make sure that they're checking all the right boxes on their end too, so that whatever that we're building the landing page for is going to be successful, because their success is ours, right? So
yeah,
very true.
The last thing we want to touch on was who's your target market? Who's your avatar? Who are you going after? Did we cover that?
I don't believe we covered that today.
I was setting up the Facebook Live and I spaced out.
Way to go.
It's like 2 or 3 minutes where you guys were talking. I'm like, shit, what were they talking about?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I touched on it a little bit before. We were talking about, making sure that the content and the story is specific to the avatar that you want to target, right? So make sure you make your plan in advance. Think about overall, what do we want it to be? Then break it down. If we're looking to, bring in more people like this for this particular initiative during this quarter, that I'm going to be highlighting athletes that look like that person, and using imagery on the landing pages and in the ads or whatever you're doing. Make sure everything is specific to what you're looking to accomplish. Not just, for example, if you're looking to if your demographic is like moms and dads and like, people between the ages of like 30 and 50, and you're doing you're doing your ads with your stud athletes and a bunch of people who are 25 years old and ripped or huge or whatever, you're probably not going to appeal to a lot of those people using that imagery, even though you're like, these are our stud athletes, look at what we've created. They don't give a shit about that.
That's something I commonly hear. People are like, people just think we're like a competitive gym and all we have is athletes. I'm like, there's a reason. There's a reason they think that.
Right.
Like, everyone knows that that's who's in your gym. Why do they know that? Because that's what you post on social media. That's what you put on your website. Like, if you didn't post any of that shit on website and you put just average Joes, they would not even know that you're a competitive gym. It might be better that way. Nobody, a 35-year-old dude that just wants to lose some weight or just be in shape doesn't give a shit if he went to the CrossFit Games last year.
Right.
Period. And in fact, if I'm that guy, I want to go to the gym that didn't go to the CrossFit Games last year, because I'm going to walk in and feel like I'm going to be totally intimidated.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere where there are people like me and I feel comfortable.
Well, there's ways you can position it correctly, but again, it's being intentional with your storytelling. If you are a gym that takes people to the games and you're really good at training athletes on that caliber, but we all know the majority of what's going to actually float your business is not those athletes. It's their parents and everybody else. You can still say, hey, look at what we've done, but you highlight the majority of your story around the people you actually serve. We leverage this really cool know-how and ability to make everyday people do incredible shit. Like, you can still tell the right story, but make sure you're telling the story. Because if you're just saying like athlete, why do no moms or dads sign up around here? Because they're looking at your shit, they're like, no way. Like, I haven't worked out in 5 years. Like, you really think I'm going to go in there and do that crazy overhead barbell thing that you guys are doing on all your pictures? No thanks.
Yeah, they'll think it's cool, but
yeah,
that's where it'll end.
Exactly.
So again, that's why I like having the rhythm, like the weekly rhythm, like where maybe on Monday you're posting about the guy who's the high level regionals or game style athlete, and then on Wednesday you're posting about someone who's brand spanking new, they've been there for less than 3 months, and then on Friday you're posting masters athletes.
Yeah.
And if you can have that rhythm, then people won't fall into the trap of only posting the person that's doing the back uprises on the rings. You know what I mean? Like, look, and they're the only person in the gym that can do that. Nobody else in the gym can do it. Nobody else watching the video can do it. Like, but it looks cool.
Yeah, totally.
So all that said, we have a download for you guys to go and check out and see an example. Right now it is the end of the year, end of 2016, and this is a typical season we hear a lot of griping about. So we've put together a sample template for you to follow. Mm-hmm. So in case you were looking to see what the hell are we talking about, make sure you visit the barbellbusiness.com website and check out this episode. We will have the download there for you, so that you can see exactly how, as an example of what it could look like to map out through the rest of the year and set yourself up for success going into the new year so that everything is optimal.
And this is an example that has been used by gym owners that we've worked with that have seen wild success with it.
Yeah, correct.
So,
this is an actual example, not just some
this
bullshit.
isn't something that was whipped together. This is something that was actually done before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Go check it out. Hit the website, and see you next week.
Yep.
What's up, guys? I'm going to be talking a little bit about, real quick, social media and having a social media plan every week, every quarter, so on and so forth. So if you want to find out what your social media calendar can look like, the types of things you should be posting every day, we created a social media calendar template. So it spells out exactly what it is that you can be doing day to day, so it's different enough, and it's also getting people to take the action you want them to take. So make sure you go over to, and it kind of looks like this, just so you know, make sure to go over to barbellbusiness.com/social media template, or you can just go over to the link in the bio, click that, and it'll take you right there.